Your customers are craving a great tasting, authentic pizza experience. That's why we offer Primo Molino Neapolitan style flour, an affordable, high performing flour that's a great alternative to imported Italian 00 flour. It's milled right here in North America, so you can always count on authentic crust texture and taste without the imported flour price. Using an imported flour today? Check out ardentmills.com to request a sample and try it for yourself.
And welcome back to Checking In with. I am executive editor here at Pizza Today, Denise Greer, and I'm joined by Jeremy White, our editor-in-chief. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's a beautiful day here in Kentucky and southern Indiana. And I'm pretty stoked about who we have on the line today. We have Jen Zeuner and Ann Keller from the Hot Tomato in Fruita, Colorado. Hey, ladies, how is it going?
Hi, good.
It's going well.
Yeah, it's sunny here too.
It's a beautiful day here also.
55 degrees and sunny in November, so no complaints.
Yeah, that's what we're feeling too. So that's really good for us as well. So what's been happening with the Hot Tomato? Let us in on what you guys have been up to.
Well, we've been doing our best to be our best and keep the doors somewhat open for the last few months. We're still staying pretty busy, which we're pretty pumped about. We're really happy that we do pizza.
Yeah.
And we've back in end of March, beginning of April, when all this stuff started happening, we created a tomato, we're calling it the Tomato A Go-Go, which is our tomato kind of window service, if you will. So we've closed our dining room down and we've just been doing strictly to-go orders through the last however many months it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you guys do not do delivery, right?
No, just phone in. So yeah, we've just stuck with the to-go model this whole time, and I'm actually glad we did. When a lot of people were scrambling to reopen a few months ago in the summertime, when some of the state regulations were lifted in Colorado, we briefly debated about that, but now kind of sitting where we are right now, thinking about possibly having to close down again, I'm glad that we just made the call, just stuck with to go, and didn't have to, pivot our entire operation again.
Another really cool thing that the city did for the downtown community is they created all these outdoor seating areas, and one of them happens to be very, very close to the Hot Tomato, which is really a benefit for us. So right now people are coming up. We've changed kind of the way that things are kind of set up, and all of our food is going out the side, if you will, a side window. So you can order in one window, you can take away from the other window, but then you can walk maybe 50 feet to an actual space that's for customers to sit and hang out.
That's immensely helpful. What sort of impact did you experience when you first closed your dining room without the delivery option and being a takeout window only? Did you see a substantial decrease in sales, or were people just starving literally to get out and were hitting up your walkout window?
It's oddly, pizza to pizza, we're on par with last year. Okay. It's everything else that's dropped. It's our beer and wine, our salads and our slices have decreased. But if you're looking at it straight pizza, just our model has gone entirely to pizza without any of the other side things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely kind of crazy when you look at those numbers and you're just like, holy cow, how are we still doing this? And it's all coming in what I feel is a much shorter window. Before you had all day where people could come in and have a slice and hang out and do this thing. And now it's like between 11:30 and 2, it's just crazy. And then again, come 4 o'clock, it's just absolutely insane until 7:30, right?
So making the assumption that on your menu pizza is highly likely one of your most profitable items, does that mean you're at the end of the day, bottom line revenue profitability take home has remained relatively intact because you're selling so much pizza, or are you like feeling a big decline overall?
It's stayed relatively intact spring through about now. We start to drop down in sales anyway this time of year, for us being a tourism driven economy. When we lose the tourism, which for us is the mountain bike season, we definitely see a decline in normal times. And so the balance of sales versus cost of operating gets narrower in the winter time. But up until now, it's been largely stable.
Yeah. I mean, and we've done a lot of work
Yeah.
with watching our labor costs and our cost of goods. As you guys know, a lot of costs have gone up just because of supply and demand issues. So we've been really focusing hard on that. Another thing that we do at the Hot Tomatoes, we practice open book finance. So every week we have an actual finance meeting with the whole staff, and that's been challenging too in COVID because you can't have everybody in. But we still have our board that's in our prep room, that all of our numbers are written there. So it's really, I think that has, I think I've always appreciated the open book finance mentality, but now being in a crisis situation, it really has made a huge difference in our bottom lines.
Excellent point. That a lot of pizzeria owners are hesitant to be transparent with their employees and share that type of information. But at the end of the day, when your employees can see that you're not getting exceptionally wealthy on a weekly basis, they can understand the importance of not throwing that fork in the trash accidentally.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Tell us about that, the tourism season. I can imagine that it's been impacted heavily on, what's happened in 2020. And did it shift a little bit more to, community diners, or was it still very tourism focused?
Not really. Much to the chagrin of the county at first in the spring. I think where we're positioned geographically, we're 4 hours from Denver, we're 4 hours from Salt Lake City, and people were still, while people were not taking they were not traveling out of state to the degree that we might be used to, not hopping on airplanes, not going overseas. They were still very much hopping in their campers and driving over to ride mountain bikes. So I don't think we saw that much of a decline in tourism in the spring and fall. Double-edged sword, of course. I think all tourism-driven economies that are outdoor recreation specific have been grappling with how they feel about that reality. But at the end of the day, we definitely saw about the same numbers that we normally see. It's been pretty common for all of our friends that are in other outdoor recreation towns. They've echoed the same sentiment. People are much more comfortable with outdoor activities, hiking, biking, rafting, whatever it is. And so these communities that are relying upon that have seen pretty stable numbers.
You had mentioned that the winter is sort of your off season. There's sort of a natural lull and decline for your business anyway. In a typical year, what preparations do you make, or what things do you do to get you through those kind of leaner months? And do you have to change those protocols in any way for this year to account for COVID? Or is it just, look, we're already used to this, so we just going to kind of run the same metrics here?
I think we're pretty blessed in that because we've been doing it for so long, and we have I think we have some really good systems in place. I'm being optimistic that we're going to stay busier than normal. Not everybody's following that lead, I don't think. But I just feel like, for us, our space is pretty tiny. We only have about 40 seats inside. So the majority of our business is outside. And all that goes away come pretty much now, by Thanksgiving for sure. So we lose all those seats. And now I'm hoping that with it being a takeout kind of model and people have that mentality in their heads, I'm hoping that we're going to see more people order food versus in the past, they're like, well, we don't want to order because we have to take it away. But now it's all takeaway. So I'm definitely trying to be optimistic in that. And as far as changes that we make, our staff knows that, we have blackout dates a certain part of the year. And what we try to do is try to keep everybody on as much as we can through these slower months, and we ask them to work a little bit harder in the months that we're cranking. So I think, honestly, going into this, I think we're going to have a pretty good balance. I mean, the other thing with COVID is we've had to separate out a lot of things with our staff and where people work and how many people are in on each shift. So people are still getting their normal hours, and I think that that's going to continue just because of the way we have to do business. At least that's what I hope.
Makes sense. Are you able to, you had mentioned that especially a decline in alcohol. Every state, every municipality is different. I'm not sure what your jurisdiction allows. Are you able to serve alcohol to your guests, maybe in to-go growlers or jugs through that to-go window?
It is the Wild West out here. It is like Las Vegas. I don't think we're coming back from this.
I don't think so.
Everyone's gotten really comfortable with like walking around on the sidewalk with a beer.
Right.
Yeah, and when you live in the desert, it's a pretty positive thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I like
hopefully
that.
will continue when things normalize. That would be a nice boon to everyone's business in the future.
Right.
If
Totally.
that practice can continue. I'm sure there will be some lobbyists in your area that will fight hard for that.
Yeah.
That would be good. You've had some really fun things happening too during all of this with that Life of Pi. So people all around the world are getting to know the Hot Tomato brand through this Patagonia documentary. Where's it at now? I think it's going around to different festivals. Is that right?
Yeah. It's been pretty wild. I mean, we had no idea it would kind of explode the way it did, and it's awesome. But on the same hand, we thought it'd be kind of done by now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every week we get another call like, hey, we're going to show your film at this thing. Hey, and you're just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me personally, one of the coolest things is so many people that do come in and they say that they saw the movie and that drove them to our place. And then when they get to meet us or hang out with some of the crew that's in the movie, they're just like beside themselves. It's like all of a sudden we have this random celebrity status. But yeah, it's still going around, and I don't know. I think the guys that did that film pretty much nailed it with all the feels, and I think right now with where we are in the state of the world, I think it's a happy place for people to turn to.
Yeah, and
That's so cool.
I love it. It's so awesome. As we move into 2021, what are those things that you're really gearing up for at the restaurant? Like, what do I know it's really hard to plan with COVID, especially the fact that we're all going kind of back into restrictions all over the country. But as we look to 2021, what's in your gears right now?
I don't think we have any big plans. I mean, it's kind of like we have the idea book.
Yeah.
And I think we're just waiting to see what happens. I mean, I think like this morning, I've just been plugging away in QuickBooks and just trying to look at what we need to do for the end of this last quarter and the beginning of first quarter, and making sure that we can really give our staff what they need. I mean, everybody needs a paycheck. Like, we have to be there for them. And I think for me personally, that's my biggest plan right now, is how do we keep everybody in a stable position to be able to do the things that they need to do, and that they have come to expect to do, and why some of those things have changed. I think at the end of the day, it's our responsibility as leaders of this organization to really give these guys some solid ground, if you will. So that for me is my personal biggest plan right now, and we're just gonna see how it goes. I mean, keep eating pizza, right?
I think, also on an operational standpoint, we're doing a forecasted sales budget next year for both COVID and also not COVID. And so, we're just trying to be really intentional going into next year of what's worst case scenario, what's best case scenario, and how do we prepare for both.
Yeah, that sounds good. And so I hope that you'll be at Pizza Expo 2021 in June this time instead of March. So hopefully, we'll have that vaccine and be able to all come together. We're excited about it.
Yeah, totally. It'd be awesome. It'll be a big welcome party for sure.
It will be a big party. You had mentioned experienced some supply chain issues, and obviously supply and demand just dictates, obviously when demand is low or demand is high and supply is low, costs are going to rise. That's just how it works. But what specific products, if any, have you had difficulty either procuring or have had to really bite the bullet and take on at a much higher cost than you would like?
Cheese. Cheese for sure.
Paper products.
And then I would say paper products. I think all the other things we can kind of ebb and flow through, but those have been the two probably big items. I mean, obviously pork products have been very difficult, but we've been able to find items that are on par with the quality of what we've gotten in the past. And those prices may be a little bit higher, but I think we've been able to manage that one. But the cheese cost and the paper products, that has been a real tough one for sure.
Yeah.
Have you had to increase your prices on your menu items?
And that's something that Anna and I mean, we've talked a lot about it, but just with everybody struggling in the country, like, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, right after when COVID first hit, I remember we had a pretty big conversation about, we didn't want to lay anybody off. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we just gave everybody raises and told them we were going to give them as many hours as we could. And to please just stay with us and trust us. And none of us knew what the heck we were doing at that point. It was just, it felt right. And I think that's the same thing with raising prices. I don't know. I just don't think it's a good thing right now. I would rather have a guest come once a week than once a month. That's the way I look at it. And if that balance is that much, I think it's okay. I mean, what's it going to do if I get an extra 25 cents? You know, like, I have to sell a heck of a lot more for it to really make a difference.
Yeah, I gotcha. What kind of closing question do you have for them, Jeremy, so we can let them get back to their day?
Yeah, the last thing I had for you, I was just curious how it may have impacted your marketing and advertising. Have you changed your messaging at all, or have you just cut back on marketing because of COVID, or have you increased marketing to try to get your takeout sales? What exactly are you doing in that realm right now?
Yeah, for the last few years, we have not focused much energy towards marketing anyway.
Okay.
So if anything, we've always utilized social media platforms and our website, and that's about it. We don't do any advertising, and we've just changed our messaging a little bit. You know, I think it's important for companies to be transparent on the steps that they're taking to keep everyone safe. And I've also, really admired when companies are transparent about some of their shortfalls. And so we're just kind of looking for our peers in the industry and paying attention to what their messaging is and seeing what points resonate for us and trying to kind of hit those points when we feel necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're not stepping up any advertising. We're not spending money on any advertising, and nor are we reducing our spending because we haven't spent that money over the last 5 years.
That makes total sense. So I've got before I let you ladies go, I've got a Hot Tomato cycling jersey that you sent me 5 or 6 years ago that I absolutely adore. And somehow, some way it still fits me, actually.
Wow.
But every time I wear it, I get comments and compliments, and people want to know what's up with all these tomatoes all over your.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Always a conversation piece every time I do wear it. So thank you for that, and keep on keeping on.
Thanks,
you
you
guys.
guys.
You
Yeah.
too.
Thanks so much.
At some point.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to getting an update from you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks
you guys.
guys. Be well.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Thank
See ya.
you.